it appears Andreas is ready. Let's have a nice welcome for Andreas.
Hi, my name's Andreas, and Andreas Joshua Carver, and the title of my speech is The Garden of Eden. Hippocrates once said, let food be thy medicine, and I would like to ask you guys, with the raise of hands, how many of you guys let food be your medicine? Nice, nice. A little bit more than I expected. But yeah, unfortunately, I think we're raised in a culture where we have gone away from food being medicine, and we are now given medication, and we go to the doctor for every little thing, and they just kind of like throw out these pills, and we take them, and celebrities are dying because they're taking all these medications or whatever. And this is not at all what I'm talking about, honestly. But what I want to talk to you guys today about is veganism. I'm not here to tell you guys to make the change or that I'm this radical, like crazy person, like trying to push my views on you. But I'm more here to raise awareness, to say that eating a plant-based diet or having an influence from a plant-based diet will create a happy and healthier life. So today I would like to talk about my transition into vegetarian and veganism, some facts about the health epidemic in America, and also just kind of like everyday life, week to week, like what I do as a vegan. So first, I will talk about my transition. I started having these ideas about becoming a vegetarian when I was 13, and it all started with this ad. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the whole ad, so it's like pretty pixelated, but you guys will get the point. At the top of the paper, it said, don't go breaking my heart, and then at the bottom it said, become vegetarian, and it was a PETA ad. And this was what was in the middle, this little pig, with its little face like. So, of course, like at the age of 13, I was like, I'm doing this, and it did not happen. So about a year later, I moved to Hawaii, and when I moved here, I used to dance. I used to do ballet and jazz and all that. And I got home one night from dance, and my parents had made steak. And so I was, at the desk eating on steak, and I choked. And when I say choked, I mean like I was like choking. And at the time, my dad, my sister, and my mom were heading outside, and they were playing, like slapping each other, like having a good time, and I'm over here dying. And I couldn't talk because I was choking, so I just had to like throw this glass on the table, and eventually my father had to give me the Heimlich, and it was terrible. So that's when I was like, okay, this is it, this is the sign, someone's telling me it's time to be vegetarian. So I went, and it's been 9 years. I believe going on 10, anyways, I think right now is 9 years, this month. So 9 years now, and then just last year I went vegan. So, with that being said, I would like to talk to you guys about the health benefits and the health epidemic in America. So processed foods began back in the 1950s. Americans were becoming really busy, and moms, or women, I guess, were starting to go into the work field, and they could no longer cook for their family. So the microwave dinner happened, and America's kind of just gotten worse as the years have gone on. So let me show you guys some diagrams. This is from the documentary Forks Over Knives, and Forks Over Knives talks about just basically the dairy industry, the meat industry, processed foods. It goes into a whole bunch of different things. It's a great, great documentary. It talks about different studies that have been done. But this is our stomach, and the blue and purple things are basically the sensors in our stomach that say when our stomach is full. The green stomach is 500 calories worth of vegetation. So our stomach can actually be full off of 500 calories of greens or veggies or whatever. The second one is of processed foods. So 500 calories of artificial flavorings and things like that. It only fills us up about, what is that, halfway-ish. And so that gives us the idea that we're actually not full at all, and that we can still keep eating. And then last, this is 500 calories of oil. So we can have these 500 calories of oil and still continuing to build on them. So in the documentary, they talk about how this is why America has become so obese, because people are just eating these processed foods and they're not getting the diets that they need, and so it's causing these diseases. I think like cardiovascular disease is like the #1 killer in America. Obesity is terrible. So this is like one of the reasons why, because people aren't eating whole foods. A study that, well, not even really a study, it just kind of naturally happened. In Norway, back in 1940, the Germans came in and they took away all the livestock from Norway, from the people. And if you look, this is very, very interesting. This is the cardiovascular disease, the graph. And when the Germans came in and took the livestock away and they stopped eating meat, it dramatically went down and people stopped getting heart disease. Nobody. And then eventually the documentary ends up showing that when they started getting their livestock back, that it slowly started going up. And I know the question that everyone is wondering, but where does your protein come from? I have, throughout my whole college career, whatever it is, I have asked people, these questions about being vegan and what they think, and a lot of people think that it's lacking protein, when realistically it's not lacking protein at all. Meat is obviously a great source of protein, but you don't need meat to get protein. There's protein in kale, there's a ton of protein in quinoa, in peanuts, all kinds of nuts. So I would like to show you this graph that is that shows countries and their animal food production. That's the green bar, and the red bar is cancer and heart disease. So the green, so it's a comparison to how much animal production and animal products they eat, and then basically the cancer that is associated with it. So here you can see how it goes up. This is the green bar, like I said, is the animal production. The red bar is the diseases and cancer that goes along with it. Another question that I get is calcium. Where does your calcium come from? And in America, we are taught that calcium comes from milk. And that milk is what will prevent osteoporosis, and that it'll make us have strong bones. But the more studies they do, the more that they find that milk is actually what causes osteoporosis if you have too much of it. In a lot of countries, they actually wean their toddlers off milk. When they're here in America, it's like you get formula or you get breastfed, and then once you're done, you go on to cow's milk and you start drinking that your whole life. When realistically, you don't necessarily need it. Excuse me. So this is another graph, and it talks about hip fractures compared to daily calcium. So you can see here, Singapore, they don't really have much daily calcium at all, well, milk. And then the amount of calcium that people get in. So in the US, we drink a ton of milk, and as you can see, we're actually at the very top of the list for hip fractures. And then last, what I want to talk about is not so much about the health epidemic, but it's actually about our environment and what eating more of a plant-based diet can do for our environment. In 1990, according to Brandon Brazier, the average American gained 10 pounds, okay? So 10 pounds might not seem like a lot, but between the years 1994 and 2004, the 350 million gallons of fuel were added to our airlines. So, 350 million gallons just within 10 years had to be added to flying because people were gaining weight. So we're actually putting more of a carbon print into our earth, into what is like giving us the food and the nourishment, what's feeding our animals. And there's another statistic that shows that the food that they're feeding our cattle actually, if we only took like a fourth of that food that we're feeding cattle in America, it could like solve the hunger crisis around the world. So it's pretty crazy. But last, what I want to talk about is what it's like to be vegan. It isn't crazy. I'm not like eating soy every day or having wheatgrass shots. Don't get me wrong, I do have like wheatgrass powder that I drink in the morning, but ultimately it's really about like having a balanced diet. I'm not here to say like go vegan and what I'm here to say is if you're going to eat meat, make sure you're also getting whole grains, and make sure that you're eating kale, or that you're eating spinach, or that you're actually eating green, or that you're having a vegetable for a day, or fruit, you know, something that's good for the body, that's going to make the body happy, make you happy, make your skin glow. And so yeah, so to wrap it up, I really do believe that Hippocrates was right when he said, let food be thy medicine, because I haven't been to the doctor in years, and the last time I went was for a checkup, and she was amazed by my numbers, by how healthy my heart is. And although I am very young, she asked me, "What's your secret? What do you do?" And I told her, I said, I'm vegan. I don't eat any meat. She's like, well, what do you do? Like, what's your naughty thing? And I said, well, sometimes I have red vines. And she's like, what? Like, that's my straw. She's like, you're my doctor? So anyways, so to wrap things up, yeah, I think going vegan or just having an influence on plant-based diet is great. I think it could really solve the health epidemic in America if we had more of an influence. And yeah, I think it's super easy and awesome and something you guys should look into.